ask yourself about the generations. Have you seen something suspicious about the current generation? Do you know we have a generation that wasn't there in 80s and 90s? And when I say 90s, it's for those who were born in 80s and raised in 90s. Now we have this kind of a generation that has been born the other day, that is the 2000. Forward, it's now 22 years. It has changed everything. It's the generation that is controlling the parents, and the parents has nothing to say on the kid. And you just walk around and you see your kid will be like, "Ma, if you won't do this for me, I won't see you. I'll just walk out of your house." Would any kid of a parents who were born in 60s, 70s and backwards have the guts to say that? No kid would do that. Now here is a story of a man who one day felt embarrassed. He was just walking in a mall and just felt the embarrassment to see a mother being controlled by a kid. It isn't something that is very different, the current generation we are having. You just hear parents saying like, "No, you know what? I got a kid who is 3 years. And I'm just tired of this kid. I can't tell the kid anything. He can't hear me. 3 years kid? No. You must be crazy. A 3 years kid, if you say the kid can't hear you, do you expect him or her to obey the law? Parents, we are failing. I want you to judge this kind of a story, this kind of a scenario. Now, this man was saying this. The man we became has a lot to do with how we were treated as young kids and how we were raised up when we were growing. I walked through today's supermarket, dragging my jaws, seeing how our mothers, and not just this mother, but how the current generation of mothers are treating their Liams and Jadens. Now it's fun. We no longer have our culture. We have lost even our generation names. Now we have very funny names. We just walk around and hear parents say, "My butterfly," and you're like, "Oh, your kid is just nice as butterflies," and it's like, no, that's her name. My kid is called Butterfly, and you're like, when you walk home, how will your mom or the kid's grandma be able to say butterfly? No, it's called butterfly. No, we are losing the culture. So this man was walking in a supermarket and he was very ashamed because I wasted 17 and a half minutes, the man says, in Juja City Mall. Now that is in our city. We have every kind of human beings on there. A city occupying 5 million people isn't a joke. And now I wasted almost 17 and a half minutes in Juja City Mall watching a fierce exchange between the mother and a 9-year-old boy. No, a 9-year-old. You can imagine that is I think a grade 3-year-old boy. Apparently the boy wanted a pizza and the mother had ordered for fries. Now it means the mother had not enough money. Now this kid wants a pizza, not even a ndoma or sweet potato. Not even just nights. Ugali. The kid wants a pizza. The mother did not have money for pizza and constantly sues the boy to eat the fries. It's embarrassing. I'll say this point blank. Our parents would never sue us. And now my parents will just say, no, you don't want to eat? No, you just go. Take everything in this house and just go. Where would you go? 9 years old kid. Where would the kid go? Nowhere. And the parent will know. She constantly soothes the kid. She was also constantly on the phone, maybe trying some Fuliza or Mshwari, or maybe trying to call one of her friends to send some money so that she could face the embarrassment caused by the kid. Or even trying to take the husband and tell him, you know what? Your Jaden doesn't want the fries, you want pizza. You don't have enough money for pizza. No, you have to send me money. My mother loved me totally decapitated. She wouldn't entertain such nonsense. Now you know what? I'll thank it. I'm raised from a family of teachers. And you know, any teacher currently who is a retired teacher or almost to retire, there were days when nonsense wasn't tolerated at all. We grew up in a constant reminder that we were worth nothing. In my village, now in the man's village, boys were called Mikuna. I don't know what that means. But I think it means the hard ones. Mikuna in Central it means the hard one. Yeah, you have to harden something. You know, like that thing called for cracking the nuts. Yeah, that is a Mikuna. During school holidays, boys could go for weeks without a proper meal. You know, boys and games. A boy would just wake up in the morning, just walk around. Just scavenging around the community granaries or gathering and hunting for squirrels, avocados, mangoes, and maperas. This kind of a generation we are having now don't even know what hunting is. Don't even know what it means to go even for 2 hours without a proper meal. It doesn't say it's a must you treat your kid as you are treated. Maybe you were less fortunate those days, but you know what? I won't encourage you raise a lazy-born and also a man. One day you'll be someone's husband. And the same way you can't entertain your man to be a lazy-born in the house, the same way nobody will entertain your Liam and Jaden. Your same butterflies, nobody will entertain them if they can't cater for the family. No one would do that. And now, those boys in 80s and 90s, we could also help the community with right duties, like texting carcasses. Now, our country has been growing day in, day out, and as the technology is smoothly coming into our world and changing everything, those days you couldn't even get a doctor to test if an animal died out of hunger, out of a simple disease, or out of a disease that could kill people. And now those boys were used to test the carcasses. They were known of having a hard stomach that could digest anything. And the parents wouldn't ask anything if they had one of their kids was used as a testing material. Now these boys could be used for right duties to give back to the societies that is raising them, like testing the carcasses. You see, most people in that village could not afford to buy a dead animal and could not afford a veterinary test. Remember, there were no money. And it would cost a veterinary test doctor to come all through, maybe from the city to reserve. You can imagine hiring a doctor all the way from Nairobi to an area like Turkana, an area like Mandera. I won't say that the area isn't developed. I'm trying to look in that perspective of those days there were no roads. It was very far from the city, and it is up to today. But remember, nowadays there are roads. And so the boys would test if the meat was fit for consumption. To solve this dilemma, the elders came up with a brilliant plan. Boys would be served with the liver of any dead animal, and the entire community would observe them for hours as they just pray around. They have eaten, remember? And now they have to just roam around as they are being observed. If 3 hours later the boys were still praying, they would conclude the meat is safe, and then they would eat the rest and give hooves and hides to the boys. They say this: those days boys would embarrass you, and they would eat anything so long as it moves down their throat. They were considered as not worthy. Not the current generation we are having of my kid has to determine what we're gonna eat for supper. No. Those days the parents were parents. They would read from the front with experience, with love, but also they wouldn't entertain any pride coming from a kid who isn't even providing anything in that house. You can imagine the case and what the parents are going through with the current kids. A kid just come home, just tell the mama, "Ma, nibondeshe." And the mama is like, "No, sina pesa ya kutosha." And the kid is like, "Unajua, kama utanibondesha, I won't eat in your house, I won't stay in your house, hata ninaenda." And you're like, "Anaenda wapi?" But it's because we are raising a rotten generation in the name of mimi ndo niliwazaa, and so you can't teach me how to raise my kids. Think about it. Think about the embarrassment you go through if one day that kid will marry and be like, mimi siwezi tafutia mwanamke anashinda kwa nyumba. They won't know the role of being a man. Raise your kid the way you would want your husband to be. Raise that kid as a king of tomorrow, as a leader of tomorrow, not just like a jade and Riam and a butterfly for today. Most men above 30, and I mean 30, not just 30 years, but when I say 30, it's those who are above 30. No, it's the time they're reaching the third floor. And not those men are not entitled. They know what it means to be a man. They are not crybabies. They are not the stray queens stray kings you are seeing in the streets every day. They can go for days without food, so long as their family has enough. They'll just toil the whole day from 6 a.m. to almost midnight just for their families to have something. They always prepare that even if they fall today, their families will have something to sustain them even when they're not there. They easily normalize depressions and they're not egocentric. They'll just do anything. And when I say anything, it's any work. It doesn't matter how dirty it is. They'll just do it for their families to succeed, for their family to have something in their tables. These men understand that they are easily expandable for the greatness of their families and the community and the society that raised them up. The society that never gave them any minute to misbehave because they knew they're raising tomorrow's leader. These men don't just yearn for attention, they exist to serve a cause. They're not just there because they are there and because they're just men. They are there with a purpose. They stay in toxic marriages. They're just humble for the sake of their families to grow. They stay in toxic marriages for the greater good. They believe in hard work. Pain soothes them. May God bless those men who know why they are men and who have maintained the virtue of being a man. Cheers to the men who are brought up in those days when parents would discipline their kids like they are adopted for the sake of having a future man who will be a leader in the family, who will be a head in the family, and not just a crybaby of how the wife treats them.